Well, here we are, putting together another race car. And I always wanted to do this series, but I always get going on the car, and then I forget to record. So I have to do it like on my days off, kind of, I guess, because during the day I get too busy, and maybe I should just hire somebody to record things. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works, but I really want to share my information with you guys. And I don't think there's a lot of top fuel crew chiefs out there that are showing you a top fuel car build or anything like that. So anyway, I thought I would share some of my experiences and what I'm doing currently for Sean Reed Racing. We're building our second car, and when I say building it, the chassis came from the Lucas's, Morgan Lucas, Lucas Fabrication, which is now, I guess, not a thing. So I guess Squid has taken that deal over. So anyway, we're putting together our second car, and there's some things on it that we're doing. We're doing the wiring, the pneumatics, the hydraulics, the computer recognition stuff, everything that does all the analysis on the car as the car's going down the track. We're doing all that. So I'll kind of give you an example of what it takes, how much how much stuff you have to get out in order to get this done. And I'm going to start at this table down here. So we kind of stage everything that needs to go on the car somewhat. I know this really looks messy, but this is after a whole day's work, right? So I just came in on Saturday, and I usually like to try and clean up before I leave, but it got kind of late, and so I left. But I want to show you what it takes. So I don't know whose that is, but whatever. Everything is pretty much staged of what we need to do. Fuel lines, fuel system, that kind of thing that still need to go on the car yet. Now, there's stuff that's already on the car, but these are all of the products we get from Performance Data Systems. Todd Payton, he is the man in doing all the acquisition stuff that are on these race cars. They're involved in a lot of different forms of racing, but PDS is our go-to. They handle all the race pack stuff. And matter of fact, they got a new logger out now that is just not out in time for us to do dual mags, but they have a single mag version that's out right now. They just don't have one yet for top fuel, but they're working on it. It's pretty close, but we still had to get this car together, so we had to buy another race pack set. But all of our race pack stuff is bought through Todd at PDS, and these are just some of the components. All the different connectors and all that, and the wiring that goes along with it. This is just a very small pile because I already have stuff that is actually on the race car. The next thing is you got to have to put one of these things together is airline. So we use 532 airline. We also use 1/4-inch airline. This is not just any airline. This is from Wilco Engineering. This stuff is the most burn-resistant airline tubing that's out on the market right now. And we know this from years and years of experiencing. Matter of fact, when I was at Forces, we actually did burn tests on these things. We'd put 200 pounds against them and slowly put heat on them, and then measure the temperature of it and see when the burst effect was. But this here is the best tubing that I have found on the market for doing what our application is. Of course, you got to have wire, and you have to have Deutsch connectors. You have to have lots of Deutsch connectors to put your stuff together. So you can buy these cool little kits. Actually, you can get these on Amazon. You can probably get them on TikTok Shop. I'm not sure. But you can also, you're going to need covering. This is a fire retardant covering that we put on, it's kind of like that Chinese finger stuff, You stick your finger in and it kind of grabs it. But we put all of our wiring and our airlines inside this to protect it in case we do have a fire. And, of course, you have to have different sizes for all that. Next on the table is you're going to need a lot of zip ties because temporarily you're going to hold wires, and then you're going to finalize them, and you're still going to have to use zip ties to do it. So you're going to end up cutting off a lot of zip ties and then putting new ones back on. Whatever. It is what it is. Wiring-wise, what I use on our top fuel car, if you look, this is a soft silicone wiring. It's very soft, and you see it's very fine strand. I believe that you can get more current through this kind of stuff, and it's really nice to work with because it's really soft, Again, you can buy all this stuff on Amazon. You can actually probably build half a top fuel car from Amazon. Other components are like, we have a guy, man, I just don't know his name right now, but anyway, he makes me some of the coolest components with his 3D printer. And if you look at this, I want to show you something. Watch this. It's rubber. He 3D prints rubber. So we come up with what we want. He puts it on paper. Then he puts it on his 3D printer. This is to actually hold a sensor on the car. And so it's air cushioned. So we used to mount all this stuff like in foam and that kind of thing. But he's made these cool, any little project that we want, he does. And here's another thing that he makes. And I'll add it to the video. I'm just having a brain fart right now. But to protect our fuel lines from the frame rails where they go down, look at this. It's all rubber, and it's 3D printed. It's like a pillow block. So when the fuel line, hard fuel line, sits on this, and this is the frame rail that it sits on, this gives it a little bit of cushion. So also, you put a zip tie down through it. You see that? Let's see if we can do it. You put a zip tie down through it. So it's printed that way. Look at this. Is this guy incredible or what? And then, not only can you put a zip tie through that way, check this out. You can put it through this way to hold it on the frame rail, right? And then this. So all these cool ideas that we've come up with, over the years, this guy has put it down and 3D printed it, which is pretty awesome. Then we go on to electric motion. Electric motion makes all of the components for doing the clutch, the safety systems, the fuel system, tons of different things. And it's all controlled by one command module, which is this right here. And we'll get into that in just a little bit, but this command module, it looks like it does nothing here, but on the other side, there's all kinds of connections going on. Matter of fact, this is just some of them. This is maybe a fourth of it right here, a fourth of it. But it controls the clutch system right here, which controls how fast the clutch is coming to the car. It also controls the safety stuff when the chutes hit, when the fuel's shut off. If there's an event with the motor, it controls the throttle blades. It'll shut the throttle blades. It'll also say if a burst panel comes out and we blow the blower off this thing, it also triggers a deal where it shuts off the fuel, puts out the chutes, and closes the throttle blades all at the same time. And Dave Leahy has been the man for doing that at Electromotion, and he's been a God's gift for all the safety and everything that goes on these cars, for sure. He has changed the game. Another thing that we use stuff from Racing Electronics. Racing Electronics provides us with all the stuff to talk to our driver. Like, so we see the guys with the headsets and all that stuff. So we've got to have that kind of equipment on the car. Not only that, but we also have a safety box. Now, this safety shutoff, I'll show you this deal. And I don't know if you've ever watched Top Fuel before, but you see the crew chiefs hold the box like this, and it gets an antenna on here. And this is Motorsports Safety Electronics, LLC. They made this box to where when the car's going down the track and we see something wrong with the car, say we see a hole go out, because we know if this thing runs all the way down through there, there's a possibility this thing's going to blow up, right? So as a crew chief, I can power this puppy on and go like this. Boom. It shuts the throttle blades off just like that. I mean, he's done. Now, you hate to do it on race day, but when you see it happen, this has got to be able to work. This has been by far the best thing that we've ever came across. I mean, it is instantaneous. We've tested this thing from a mile away, and somebody be sitting here in the shop in this building and hit this button, boom, throttle blades are closed. So this is a very important tool for a crew chief. We call this, Dave Leahy named this a while back, the money box, because guess what? It's going to save you money being able to shut that car off as it's going down the track if you do see something. Maybe even see an oil leak or something that's happening. And this here is what actually saves a lot of money for a lot of these Top Fuel teams. So in my whole scenario of stuff here, and I know this looks like a train wreck, and it really is right now because I'm getting ready to clean it up, but I wanted to show you what it looks like as you're going down through here. But here's another thing I have, and this thing is so cool. So what I can actually do with this thing is that I can actually, so I'll print this, and what it does, it's basically a label maker. But you say, oh, Rob, yeah, everybody's got a label maker. But what's cool about this one is that you can actually put put air lines and wires through it, and then you can heat shrink it. And so you can label all the things on the car. So when you're thrashing on the car, you can look at what that thing is that you need to replace, or that wire that you know that needs to be replaced. Maybe it caught on fire or something like that. Boom, it's labeled. You don't have to think second about it. You can go right to the drawer. It's labeled. Boom, you can put it on, and you're going to make the next round. So the more things that you can label and kind of what I call idiot-proof things, the better off you are. And this thing here has been a lifesaver for that. It's a pretty cool deal. Again, this is all Amazon stuff. This is Dynamo, but it's all Amazon stuff. And you can get different sizes. Like this here is 3/8. That one's 1/2 inch. So it does different sizes of wire and air lines. And so, yeah, it works out pretty good. We use a lot of Clippard products, too. This is a shuttle valve, so I can fire a signal this way or fire a signal this way to operate the same thing without the air backfeeding. So it's just a shuttle valve. It's simple things that we use. Things that you have to have. You have to have coffee. You have to have lots of coffee. But anyway, this is just one connector set, right? For doing grounds, powers, all those kinds of different things. We crimp our stuff and we solder it, and then you have to be able to put heat sleeve on it, right? Got to have heat sleeve. Not only that, but you have to have a multitude of different Molex connectors that we do different connections with. And then for Molex stuff, Sociable LLC, which is it's actually in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, I think is where he's at. But Sociable, what they do is they make all these different components and cables and all the stuff that we use for the racing industry. And not only that, but he pre-cuts all the heat shrink for the Molex connectors, which saves so much time, and it's cheap. And I mean, he is just an unbelievable guy, and it's Sociable LLC. But he also, like I said, makes some of the most lightweight cables in the industry that we use for different components as well. If we move on, just the amount of different crimping style tools that you need for the Deutsch connectors, for the Molex, and then just regular crimps. But on top of that, you need like a soldering. You need a soldering area. You need different sizes and stuff of wire. 18 gauge, 20 gauge, 16 gauge. A lot of the stuff we have, and this is all silicone, high heat stuff. Some of the stuff that you would use probably like on airplanes and that kind of thing, maybe RC cars, that kind of thing. But I like using the flexible stuff. It seems to hold up better, and it's fine strand, so it works really well. Going on to the next deal, you're going to need lots of M&Ms throughout the day to keep your energy up. Tuna brought these down. I had cashews here. They were pretty healthy. Well, we ate all the cashews. So then Tuna's like, "Hey man, check this out," and he puts this down, and this is how you get fat. But it does keep your energy up a little bit, and we got to be sure and drink a lot of water along with that. But damn Tuna! Oh, I was telling you about the Sociable guy. These are the kind of cables that he makes. I don't know if you can tell. This is a data cable, but look how thin that wire is. And so it saves weight. It's flexible. It's heat resistant, and this is the guy right here in Dodgeville. So anyway, if you need his phone number, I'll put it in the link. But he makes awesome cables, great cables, and he's just a really nice guy. I don't think people understand how many air fittings and stuff that are on this race car. And these fittings also do hydraulic scenarios on the race car as well. And Pisco is who we use for doing all of our air fittings. And so we have different boxes, and so I can show you some of this stuff. This is the kind of depth of air lines and fittings that you need. Hell, quarter to 532 times 4. You need connectors. You need T's. You need caps. You need 1/4 inch. You need 1/8 inch. You need 1032, right, to 1/4 inch. This is just the 1/4 inch kit. I have a whole nother kit that does 532 as well. So you can see like how much it takes to like put one of these things together. I've got 3 tables here. They're 8 foot long, and I've got crap spread out over every one of these things. But this is at the end of the day again. I'm going to do a video after I get done of showing you when it's cleaned up, and you'll say, oh, okay, Rob, he is kind of somewhat organized when he does this. But even the Pisco, this is all 532 stuff that we use. And, you know, these aren't real cheap, but I will say this. I've used a lot of different fittings over the years. Legree, I've used, even I think Clippard makes some style of fitting like that. But what you really have to look at is if you look inside this, see how many teeth are in there that are grabbing that airline? That right there determines how well it's going to hold that air hose. And these here have been the best. Matter of fact, when we used to use a different brand, Legree, Aaron Brooks actually made some clips that we would put underneath the head of the airline, so you couldn't, you know, you push this down to release the airline, you know, so that pushes down, and then you can release the airline, right? So it pushes down on those little clips on the inside, and that's how the airline is released. Well, he made a clip because we were having such a problem with those other style fittings that it went underneath there where you couldn't push this down. And it was a little titanium clip or aluminum clip that you put on there, and you just crimped it together. But what a pain in the butt. Like if you had to change an airline, oh, I got to get the clip off, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But knock on wood, we have definitely had the best luck in the world with Pisco fittings, for sure. Not only that, you have to have tons of different valves. You know, air fitting valves, pneumatic style valves. I found these. These are actually, this is the company here, Pneumatic Incorporated. I like these because the Clippard alternative is all a brass, right? And they're heavy. This is actually an aluminum body, and the fittings are made onto it. I've had really good luck with these, and it's something that I've used probably in the last 2 or 3 years. And they make different styles, you know, of these. So what this basically is so you have an input in, and then when you hit this, it's an output. And so with that, you can put a cartridge on it like this, and you can have air hit this, which hits that, which turns it on. So you can have, you know, an air pneumatic style of opening. Anyway, those are the ones that I use because they're lightweight, and Clippard stuff's just kind of heavy. But Clippard stuff is kind of what started all this. There's been a lot of these on race cars over the last 40 years, that's for sure. Deckard Engineering, again, Clippard makes air switches as well, like to put these things in neutral so they can pull them off the track sometimes. We have to be able to turn on an air switch which activates the reverser to go into neutral. So we have to have this on the dash so the driver can hit that so he can get it in neutral. If you don't, the clutch is locked up, and you can't just like push the clutch in to unlock it because it's welded together basically. And so if you roll the car, it's turning the motor. If it's doing that, you're taking a chance of blowing it up. So say a bunch of fuel leaked in one of the cylinders, and you're rolling the car, and at hydraulics, nitro explodes when it gets compressed, and they'll knock the head off of it. We've seen that back in the day. And so now we definitely have a neutral safety that's on these things. Again, more Pisco fittings. But if you want to do a bulkhead, say you need to take an airline through a carbon fiber panel, this is what the bulkhead looks like. So you put the carbon fiber, drill the hole, put this in, tighten this up, boom. Now you can take a 1/4-inch line out the other side. Pisco's got a lot of great fittings. You can even do it with say you want a 90 going through the bulkhead. You know, it's really makes things really nice. Great fitting company. Anyway, I can go on and on here. All the different things I've got out. This is all my different regulators, and I use pencil regulators. I use these really badass Testcom regulators. This is my main regulator that I use. This is probably the most precision regulator that we have on the car. These other ones, I believe these are, I want to say they're SMC. That's another company that makes airline fittings, but not as good as the Pisco stuff. And we use this for different things, like the charge air is a different pressure than the system air, and so on. And so we have a couple of those that are on the car along with that regulator. Anyway, I know it looks kind of crappy out here. I know there's a lot of stuff laying around, but I'll kind of show you around the car a little bit.